From being the NBA player with the most potential to becoming the most hated basketball player in the world, what exactly is happening with Ben Simmons? He used to be a great player and pretty well liked too, until he forced the 76ers to trade him. That's where it all went downhill. Suddenly, he was refusing to play, and the whole 76ers fandom despised him. And no, it didn't end there. When his former team did manage to trade him to the Brooklyn Nets, he was in a tough spot. He needed to prove himself once again.
To operate in the post and get to the basket.
Simmons entering the post, wheels around, and he hits. How about that?
But guess what happened? He got injured. After being on hiatus for over a year because of this reason, well, the hatred spread from the 76ers fans to the basketball fans in general, and the Nets were particularly fuming when he first came to the team. Everyone was going on about how this was great for both Ben and the Nets, and how they worked perfectly with each other.
Mills, the former Blazer, is in. Get it in. Simmons lays it in. On the entry from Patty Mills, that's Aussie to...
So much for that. There isn't much hope for the future if everything keeps going the way it is now. The Nets fans want to see the team on top, wanted to have all the glory, and well, Ben was promised to be one of the people who would make this a reality. But right now, this is becoming even more of a dream than it was a few months ago.
I think we're just not, we got to be accountable on the defensive end, and we're not. Guys are coming in here and put up career highs.
I mean, sure, they can still work great together, but that's after Ben actually improves and shows himself to be a capable player. Because right now, well, let's just say his performance on the court really isn't helping his case, and things are just getting worse from here. Well, to understand what exactly is happening, you first need to understand why the Nets took Ben in.
But they're going to ride with it. Consistency matters. Nice lead. This time Dinwiddie sets up Ben Simmons with the line.
Ben is a very well-rounded player, and the Nets could perfectly utilize all of his strength at that time. And so, it seemed like the perfect idea. Ben wouldn't have to worry about the likes of Joel Embiid. He'd play next to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and support them, leaving basically no holes in the team's defense or offense. Do you see the problem here? Yep, Kyrie Irving, or the lack thereof, the face of the Brooklyn Nets, just asked for a trade recently, and the organization obliged. Now, both Kyrie and Markieff Morris are off the Dallas Mavericks.
Super excited and grateful for the opportunity. Really feel wanted, and I know that they had to give up some pieces for me to get here, so I don't take that for granted.
And sure, the team got Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith in return, but that doesn't change the fact that Ben suddenly went from a supporting player to the face of a rebuilding franchise. Guess he should have stayed in the Philadelphia 76ers after all. And yes, you heard that right. He's the face of the Brooklyn Nets. What about Kevin, you ask? Well, the answer is with the Phoenix Suns, like the player himself. In return, they got Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Jay Crowder. The trade also included 4 first-round picks and a 2028 pick swap. It's a good deal, but still, before we knew it, the Nets traded out 2 of their best players, and now everything depends on Ben, which isn't a good thing to say the least. There are several reasons for this, like the fact he's on an all-time career low average in pretty much every category. This includes points, rebounds, assists, and minutes played per game, which are 7.2, 6.4, 6.4, and 27.3 respectively. But the first and foremost reason is the fact that he wasn't prepared for such a responsibility. He was benched a lot due to the fact his shooting accuracy from the foul line was only 43.9%. Didn't play as many games as he should have due to injuries, and of course, he wasn't advertised enough. Right now, he doesn't have the capability or the confidence to be the player the Nets need him to be. Only the potential, but can he make use of it, or will it all go to waste? I mean, Ben Simmons' minutes are a decreasing asset. On February 7th, he played 27 minutes against the Phoenix Suns, and this further fell to 20 minutes when playing against the Bulls on February 9th. He had reached 16 minutes while playing against the Philadelphia 76ers on February 11th, and by the 14th, during the Nets' loss to New York, he was down to just 30 13 minutes. It really isn't a good look. Over the course of these games, Ben has only managed to score a total of 16 points with an average of only 4 points, 4 assists, and 4.5 rebounds during the stretch. It seems Ben's been removed from the starting lineup of the Nets, which now favors the more offensively capable newcomers. Now Ben spends most of his time watching the newcomers close out the fourth quarter on the bench. Jack Vaughn, the head coach of the Nets, insists that Ben isn't any different from all the other players on the roster. In fact, he said that he wanted Ben to give everything, every ounce, every single game. But at the end of the day, the real problems are rooted much deeper. I mean, we all know that Ben used to be the perfect fit for Brooklyn, yet now that he's playing on the team, he's becoming a liability. The team is lacking in scoring, and Ben himself doesn't even look interested in trying to take a shot. Once he has passed the ball to another team member, he falls back from the offensive stage and lets the other players handle it. The only time this doesn't happen is when he sets a screen for a team member. Yep, that's about all Ben has been bringing to the table after the Nets had paid $35 million to recruit him. Not to mention, he's already contacted them for the upcoming 2 seasons for $77 million. And for a team that traded its top scorers like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, his lack of scoring is alarming. The Nets need Ben to get his act together. In a post-game interview, Jack more or less admitted his confusion about how to deal with Ben. He lamented that when you put another big one next to him, you need to figure out what the spacing around him is. When you put a playmaker next to him, you got to figure out what he looks like without the basketball. When you go small with him, you need to figure out if you can rebound enough with him. Despite all this, Jack still doesn't seem to have given up all hope yet. Describing how he'll handle the situation, he said that they'll figure it out. He did openly admit that they'll have to face challenges ahead, but he seems determined to face them head on. He stated that only time will tell if it was him mixing and matching through many different pieces of the game to make a group and then sticking with it. Well, it seems Jack isn't the only one confused about Ben's role. Ben himself confessed that he had no idea what his role would be moving forward. He talked about how everything had been changing all year and that it was difficult to fully grasp what was really happening. Ben hopes to finally find some rhythm and consistency. He continued that coming off the bench was a different experience, but he was willing to do whatever was needed of him to help the team win. Well, Ben might not be performing up to par on the court, but at least he's still motivated to play for the team and help it win. If he doesn't change this attitude, it might not be too late for him to turn things around. Well, guys, this is all there is to say about what has been going on with Ben Simmons. See you in the next one.